All right, so this is how to make a cinematic in UE5. All right, so in order to have a cinematic, you're going to be animating cameras, so you need some cameras, and we get them from the Add button here, and we go down to Cinematic, and we see Cinecamera Actor. And so the Cinecamera Actor, that's what we're going to use. And I'm going to put a couple of these in here. So I'm going to click on it, and you can see it created a camera. And when the camera is selected, it brings up the window that the camera of the thing the camera is looking at here. So that's the first camera. Let me pull this over just a little bit here, because here you can change the name of the camera if you would like to. So I'm going to start the camera just a little bit. I don't know. I'm just going to start it over here. I'm not going to get too detailed with this, but let's see. As I'm moving it, I'm going to move it. I'm just going to move it maybe back here a little bit. You can rotate it. Now, when you're rotating the camera, I would rotate it from a local point of view, not global. So you can see it's currently on global. Go to a local transform when rotating your camera. And so I'm going to rotate it so I'm looking at this hill right here. I'm looking at the hill. All right, I kind of like that. That's going to be camera 1 for me. So I'm going to rename this Cinecamera Actor 01. Oh, did it do it? Oh, I don't have my num lock on, sorry. 01. All right, that's my Cinecamera Actor 01. That's the first camera that I'm going to use. Let's go ahead and just create all the other cameras you're going to use. Now, in your cinematic, you're going to use cut scenes, and you're going to use like fade to black and fade from black. You're going to be basically a director, a cinematic film director this time around. All right, so I've got camera 1. Let's go ahead and add another camera. So I'll take this cinematic, Cinecamera Actor. I'm going to add another one. There's my camera. And I'm way up too high, so I'm going to crank it down and to where I just need it to be. All right, so after I do that, I'm going to choose another camera location. So, whoops. You know what? I want to look over there at my perpetual motion object. Maybe I should look at it from, I'll start here. There we go. And again, I'm going to rotate it just a little bit. Actually, I kind of like that. That looks pretty good. Maybe I'll move it over there a bit. All right, good. So that's Cinecamera Actor 2. Oh, it named it 1 for me. All right, I'm going to name it 2. O2. All right, and let's see, just for the sake of demonstration purposes, I'm going to add a third one. So let's add a third camera. So I'm going to do cinematic, Cinecamera Actor, and let's pull that thing. I'm going to put mine over here by this bridge. Maybe back it up a little bit. All right, that looks good. I kind of like that. All right, so I've got, in this one, they named it Cinecamera 2. I'm just going to name mine 3. Boom. All right, so I've got 3 cameras, 1, 2, and 3. I've renamed them. Let's go ahead and get started now with the cameras. And I need to create a cinematic like we did before. So I'm going to go over here to Cinematic, and I'm going to, oh, there's my ship cinematic. So I'm just going to add a level sequence. Add level sequence. And this one, I'm just going to call it cinematic sequence. All right, very good. And then, just like we did before, I'm going to select my first camera, Cinecamera Actor 1. Make sure it's selected. I'm going to right click here in my sequencer, actor to sequencer. I'm going to add that Cinecamera Actor 1. All right. Notice that it's showing what it's looking at there. And I'm going to animate over like, I don't know, 30 seconds. You guys are going to have to do 2 to 3 minutes. And so, yeah, you got to show off your level is what you're doing. So, all right. So for the demo, I'm going to do 30 seconds. 30 seconds at 30 frames per second. How many frames is that? 30 times 30. Yeah, 900. It's 900 frames. So I'm gonna increase this number to 900. So now it will show my entire, if I spread it out, it'll show my entire level from there to there. 800, I'm pretty close to 900. All right. All right, that looks good. But I always like to, I like to work with like maybe 100 increments. So right there. So I can move this in 100 increments. All right, I guess I'm at 140 increments. That's fine, whatever. All right, remember the key is to always set a key at the beginning of animation and at the end of animation. So I'm at the beginning and, oops, let's roll that up. And we're going to set keys on transforms, and I'm going to set keys at location transforms and rotation transforms, not scale. We don't scale cameras. So, but we are going to move the location of it, and we are going to move the rotation of it. So both of those things. So I'm going to set a key here. So I'm just going to press the Enter button. Or, did it do it? It became like that. That's interesting. All right, I'm going to click my button. Oh, is it because I have both of them selected? No, it did it. My timeline's all the way down there. My scrubber. Didn't mean it to be down there. All right. There we go. I just wasn't paying attention. All right, so I'm at frame 0. I'm going to select location. I'm going to select rotation, and I'll press the Enter key. Boom, there it is. So I've got keyframes now for both the XYZ of the location and the XYZ of the rotation, because I don't know what direction I'm going to be rotating this stuff. And again, make sure you're on local when you're rotating. All right, so I'm going to move my camera up that hill, and the way that I do it is I kind of count manually when I do stuff like that. So I'm actually going to just kind of point my camera. Whoops, I shouldn't do that. Let's see. I'm going to move I've already set the keys for it. So I'm just going to move them down here to, what is that, 2 seconds? Let's do like 3 seconds, 90 frames. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to I'm going to look off this way a little bit, and then I'll set keys again. Let's see if what that did. Oh, look at that. That's awesome. So I'm controlling my camera. So I moved forward with my camera, and then I rotated a little bit. So you can see I moved it and I rotated it. All right, let me hit play and see how fast that is, because if it's too fast, I'll have to increase the number of frames here. So let's hit play. That's not bad, but I'm going to increase them just a little bit, like maybe 2 seconds. So I'm going to add that thing. I can just keep pushing back. So I'm going to add 2 seconds, 60 frames. So I'll go to like 150. And then I'll click and drag, and I'm just going to move those on down to 150. Boom. So now when I play it, let's get it back here, hit play. Nice, slow, smooth animation, showing off my level. Looks really good. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Just for demo purposes, I'm happy with that. And let's go ahead and get the second camera going. So I need to put the second camera in here. So I'm going to roll up this first camera all the way there just to make some space. Let me see if I can pull that up a little bit more. And then I got to select my my second camera. So I'm gonna I'm gonna select my second camera. There we go. All right, I have Cinecamera Actor 2 selected. I'm going to right click on it and add actor to sequence, add Cinecamera Actor 2. Click. Notice it changed my view. I am now looking through my second camera actor and it put all the information here. So I'm going to roll up my camera component, unroll transform, and select location and rotation. And my other animation, you can see there's a line here showing where the dots are. When I roll it up, the dots aren't there anymore, those red dots. They turn into this white line, so I know where they are. Now, I already know that I'm going to do a 30 frame transition, meaning a fade to black and a fade from black. So I'm going to do like a 1 second fade to black, so that'd be 150 to 180. And then I'm also going to do a 1 second fade from black, so from 180 to 210. If I there it is. And then I'll just keep pushing that red line down the line. There we go. So now I'm going to start the animation of my second camera right here at 210. So my teacher always told us set a key at the beginning of animation. So I did that right here. And I'm going to scoot down a little bit. And again, maybe 5 seconds. So 5 times 30 frames, that's 150 frames. So I'm going to add 150 to 210, so that's 360. So let's, I'm going to drag, and I've got to keep pushing that down. There's 360 right there, and I'm going to move my camera forward. I'm going to go right to the edge of the water. And I'm also going to rotate it a little bit over right there. I want the water in the scene, but I don't want my perpetual motion object to be right in the dead center. I'll explain about that later. So I'm showing it off to the side. I can see my water right here at the bottom, and that's a pretty good view. And also I get a view of my mountain up here as well. I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and set my keys. All right, let's back it up and let's hit play. All right, that looks really good. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's do the third camera. So once again, I'm going to allow for a 30 frame fade to black. So that'll take me from 360 to 390. I haven't put the fade to black in there yet. That's coming. And then also another 30 second fade from black, or 30 frame. So that'll take me to 420. So 420 is where I'm going to start camera number 3. So I'm going to roll up camera number 2. Let's select camera number 3 right there. And then right click down here. Add actor to sequence, camera number 3. Boom, and it jumps to camera number 3. Okay, very good. And again, I'm going to roll up the camera components, unroll the transforms. Now this time, I'm not going to move my camera, I'm only going to rotate it. I'm only going to rotate my camera. So I'm just going to set keys at rotate. So I'll set a key at the beginning of animation. And then I want to rotate my camera, I don't know, I'm just, for demo purposes, I'm just doing over 5 seconds again. So that's another 150 frames, so that'll take me up to 570. I keep pushing myself further down. 570, there. And now I will rotate my view. I'm going to rotate it all the way over here. Maybe I'll rotate it and I'll keep that rock right there, just a little bit off to the right there. And I'll set my key. Boom. And then let's play. So I'll drag my slider back down here. Let's hit play. All it's doing is rotating. Man, that looks nice. Okay, I like it. If I'm going to pull this out a little bit, and you know what? I'm going to leave a fade to black of 30 frames. So let's go to 600 right there. Let's add, whoops. There we go. Let's go ahead and add our fades. So I'm going to roll that up. So I have all three cameras in here, and let's take a look at them. So I'm going to actually pull that so I can see everything. Now, if we're looking here, notice that all it does over the three cameras, like camera 1, we should see camera 1 stuff here, we should see camera 2 stuff here, camera 3 stuff here. It's only showing us camera 3 stuff. We haven't made our cuts, our camera cuts yet to each one of the cameras. If you'll notice also, when the camera's highlighted here, that's the camera it's looking through. So if I click on camera 1, that's the camera 1 view. If I click on camera 2, that's the camera 2 view. So just be aware of what those things mean. All right, so how do I do camera cuts? Let's go ahead and do our camera cuts, and then we'll do fades. Here's my camera cuts. So I'm going to select my camera, and I want to choose which camera first I'm going to be looking through, camera 1. And camera 1 is going to be selected here. And then I probably need to roll this up a little bit so I can see better. There we go. And I said this was 60 frames, 2 seconds. So I'm going to go 30 frames because in the middle of my fade to black and then fade from black, when it's at black is when I want to cut to the next camera. So I'm going to go 30 frames in the future, so that'll be 180. And this is where I'm going to create a camera cut. So I will click on the plus sign right here. What camera do I want to cut to? I want to cut to camera 2 here. So now you can see for the first part it shows camera 1, and now for the second part it cuts to camera 2. Okay? Well, the reason it's not showing camera 2 is because I've selected the camera 1 camera. If I want to look through the camera cuts, I select this little camera, and now it will show me the difference between camera 1 and then cutting to camera 2. Same thing, let's go down to where we cut between camera 2 and camera 3. So what was that? 360, so I'm going to advance 30 frames to 390. And I'll make another cut here. So I'll click on the plus sign. We're going to cut to camera 3, and then it brings up camera 3 there. So now it cuts from camera 2 to camera 3, it rotates, and we're good till the end. So very good. All right, so it's pretty straightforward. So if I show off my whole animation here, and I'll scrub my slider all the way to the beginning, hit play, and now my camera cuts are showing the first camera. It will fade to black, it'll fade from black, it cuts to camera 2, shows the camera 2 animation, it fades to black, it fades from black, cuts to camera 3, and shows off camera 3. And then when camera 3 is over, it fades to black. Okay? So that's how the cinematic works. Autosave, sure, I'll save now. All right, any questions on that so far? Okay. Let's put our fade to black in here. So I'm going to shorten my timeline again so I have some room to work and I can see my frames. I'm going to click here to get my scrubber. I don't know what else to call it, my slider. To get my slider, I'm scrubbing my slider. Now, I want to add a fade track in here. We find fade tracks, it says plus track. So I'm guessing it wants to add a track. So let's click that. And I have all these tracks that I can add in here. And one of them is called a fade track. So I'm going to add a fade track. right here. And the fade track works similarly, where I have to set keys as I animate fading. Now this is a percentage. I am currently 0% faded, which means not faded, right? All right, I don't want it faded here, but I'm going to begin fading here. So I set a key here, click, sets the key. I'm going to go 30 frames at 180. And now I want it to be 100% faded. So I'm going to change the value of the fade to 1. 1 is 100%. All right, it's completely faded. But I also want to go 30 frames more in the future to 210, and I want it to unfade. So I'm going to go back to 0% faded. So if you watch here, it starts fading here and it fades to black. While it's completely faded out, it cuts over to camera 2 and then it fades from black. All right, that's really good. Let's go to the next one and do the same thing. So here I am at the next camera cut. I'm at 360. I'm going to set a key at 0% faded. I will go 30 frames into the future to 390. And I will set the value to 1, which is 100% faded. And then I'll go 30 more frames into the future to 420. And change the value back to 0. So I'm 0% faded. Oops, didn't do it. 0% faded. And then the last one at the very end here. So let's scrub our slider all the way here to 570. I'm going to set a key to begin fading, and then I'll fade it out over 30 frames. I'll go to 600. And then I will change the value to 100% faded, or the number 1. And that's the end of my scene. All right, that looks pretty cool. So I don't even need to save this cinematic, so I'm just going to close it. Close. It gets saved with the level. And let's go find the cinematic now in my outliner, and it'll tell me where my cinematic is here. It'll say level sequence. What did I call it? There it is. I called it the cinematic sequence. Make sure that your cinematic sequence is selected. And then the way we start our cinematic to make it really super easy is I want it to autoplay. And I want it, if you don't want it to loop, don't loop it. And you can change the play rate. You can even offset when it starts. But I want my cinematic to begin the moment the level begins. So that means it's going to autoplay, and it's only going to play once. It's not going to loop. You can loop it indefinitely. Don't do that. You'll have to escape out. Or you could loop it exactly like a particular number of times. 1 time, 2 time, 3 time. But I'm going to say don't loop, because as soon as it's done, I want my player to be able to begin playing their level. So I've done that. Let's go ahead and save. I'm just going to say File. I'll just save. What do I want to do? I'll just save the level. Whatever. No, this is my AM terrain. I don't want to do that. Save current level. This will be my PM terrain. Do I already have a PM terrain? All right. This will be my PM terrain. All right, very good. So if I just hit the play button, let's see what happens. So I'm going to hit play, and it auto plays, but we're not looking through it. What's going on? Let me check. Cinematic sequence, auto play. Don't loop. Why? What is this? Level sequence asset. Do I need to? That's interesting. All right, now let's try it. Hit play. That's interesting. What's going on here? My fades are happening. Why aren't we looking through the camera? And now I can play. I have control again. That's interesting. Let me see, what did I do? Let's see, autoplay. I'm not sure why it's not playing, to be perfectly honest. Cinematic play. Tell you what, let's take a break and I'll figure it out and we'll come back.